everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make this cupcake cake. There's some different steps used to make this cake, but first we're going to start with the wrapper. Supplies for the candy wrapper are a Wilton giant cupcake pan. You can find this at Walmart, a specialty cake store, or Michael's. I'll put a link in the description as to where you can find it. You also need a pound of candy melts. The popular brands are Wilton, which you can buy at Michael's. I recommend MERCKENS chocolate, which you can find on Amazon. You also need a paintbrush or a barbecue baster, whichever you have works fine. You need to make sure that the paintbrush hasn't been used for anything but edible foods. Also a microwave and a freezer. The first step is to melt your candy melts. Empty the chocolate into a microwave-safe bowl and microwave for 1 minute. Take it out and stir it up. Pop it back in the microwave for 30 seconds. Take it out and stir it again. If the consistency is still chunky, like shown here, pop it back in the microwave for 15-second intervals until it is melted and the consistency looks like this. So you're going to take your melted candy melts and you're going to pour half of them into the bottom of the pan and you're going to paint them up the sides. You have to make sure that you work quickly because the chocolate will dry, so try to get as even as a distribution up the sides as you can while painting with a quick pace. You're going to pop that in the freezer for about 5 minutes to try to harden up that outer shell, and then you're going to take it back out and pour your second half of your candy melts into that same shell and repeat the process, trying to make the sides a little bit thicker to reduce the opportunity for breakage. Put that back in the freezer for 10 minutes. While that's in the freezer, you need to mix up 2 boxes of cake mix, whether it's the recipe on the back of the box or your own. After 10 minutes, take your candy shell out of the freezer. These cracks mean that the candy shell is ready. Make sure to support the sides of the candy shell with your fingers and turn it upside down and shake lightly. You should then take it out and set it aside. Make sure you wash your pan because we're going to need it for the next step. For this step, you're going to need Pam, your mixed cake mixes, and the Wilton giant cupcake pan. At this point, you need to preheat your oven. Spray the bottom of the giant cupcake pan generously with cooking spray. Then pour 3½ cups of batter into the bottom of the cupcake pan only. Do not cook the bottom and the top of the cake together, otherwise the top half of the cake will burn. Pop that in the oven and bake it until it is ready. When the pan is cool, take your cake out and set it aside on a wire rack. Spray the top half of your giant cupcake pan, pour 2½ cups of batter into the top half, and cook until it is done. At this point, I chose to make my own icing. You could make yours or buy it pre-made. For this next step, you need your cakes and a serrated knife. Make sure your cakes are cool. As the cake bakes, it naturally rises and gets a hump. You need to level it off with a serrated knife so that your cakes will fit together perfectly. For this next step, you're going to need your cake and your candy shell. Take the bottom half of your cupcake cake and place it into the candy shell, making sure not to press too firmly, otherwise you will break the outside of the shell. It's okay if there's a gap because you can cover it with icing. For this step, you need a turntable, which is optional, the cupcake cake in the candy shell, frosting, a piping bag and tip. The tip is a 6ST, sprinkles, and other decorations. I used sugar flowers. The last and final step is the decorating portion. I use the rosette technique, which is basically like icing the top of a cupcake. You start in the center and swirl your way outwards, making sure to try to fill all the gaps. When I had gaps left over, I lightly touched my tip in the gaps just to fill them with the leftover icing. I transferred my cake over to a plate to catch all the extra sprinkles and sprinkled my pink and yellow sprinkles all over the top. I then adorned it with sugar flowers just to give it that extra little touch. So that's it, guys. This is a great cake for bringing to school for a friend or for a smash cake. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more like this, and thanks for watching.